Now joining us is ex-NFL GM, now working with Priority Sports, and that's Mike Tannenbaum. Mike, it's Zach and Chase here in Philly. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Well, we're doing great, and we appreciate a few minutes today. And some of the big splashes the Eagles made in free agency, one of them was the trade to get Darren Sproles from New Orleans into the city of brotherly love. How do you like this move? Because it gives the Eagles a few extra pieces on offense, and which was a prolific offense on both the ground and through the air last year.
Yeah, I really like the move, guys. I think he'll create a lot of production for other players. Because on third down, a trick down to Darren Sproles to convert a first down, and could also, obviously he could turn a 5-yard swing pass into a 40-yard touchdown. So I really like the move. If you look at what he did for Phillip Rivers in San Diego, and then what he did in New Orleans the last couple of years, I don't think it's a coincidence that when Sproles is in an offense, that quarterback has played well.
Yeah, and the offense led by Nick Foles, it was sensational last year. He only had 2 interceptions. He did his job in the playoff game up against the Saints. But when it comes down to it with the Eagles, if they want to make a run at this thing next year, is they have to find a way to improve that defense. They bring in Malcolm Jenkins, Nolan Carroll in free agency. They try to patch up that secondary, which was a decimated unit last year. This Eagles defense under Billy Davis, though, it did improve after week 4. What's the next step, though, that this defense will have to take if they want to make that next run and to eventually make the push for the Lombardi Trophy?
Yeah, well, I like a lot of the young players in their front seven. I think Fletcher Cox is going to be a different speaker if he's not ready. He's close. I think he has great interior pass rush ability. I think Connor Barr with another year in the system will certainly help him as well. So I think more time to have them together. I think Trent Cole still has some tread left on the tire, so there's a number of good pieces there. I think they just have to play longer together, and I wouldn't be surprised if they added another front seven pressure player in the draft as well.
Mike Tannenbaum joins us on the hotline, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. Gelb and Chase with you. Mike, it's Chase. The Eagles, after just a horrible free agency campaign a couple of years ago when they brought in Nnamdi and DRC, are taking a more cost-efficient approach. They're taking care of some of their own guys and bringing in players to build upon the culture that they have established right now and filling some needs, whether that be on special teams, defense, or offense. How do you like that approach where they don't go after the big-ticket free agents, but instead go after the guys that can help the team in any way possible?
Well, there's that whole notion that, when you go out and build a team in free agency, you're paying retail price, whereas draft is a wholesale price. I really like what Howie Roseman and Chip Kelly are doing in terms of being very targeted. I think a guy like Malcolm Jenkins, he makes a lot of sense. I think it was a very cost-effective signing. You go back to the Super Bowl and look at what a dominant safety could do. Seattle had 2 in Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, and I think a guy like Jenkins has, as a former corner from Ohio State, has the athleticism to cover the tight ends. And you can look at the Saints, which is a team obviously they're going to be competing against. Can Malcolm Jenkins, can he cover Jimmy Graham? Those are things that you're going to be looking at over time. And a guy like Jenkins has the athletic ability, I think, to do that. So again, I think the nucleus has been there because they've drafted well to hit on a guy like Riley Cooper. So they don't have to go out and spend a lot of money at other positions. So I think their target approach makes a lot of sense.
The Broncos had a magnificent season a year ago, obviously making it to the Super Bowl before getting crushed by the Seahawks. They've had a really impressive free agency season so far, bringing in a lot of headline free agents. What do you think about what John Elway has been able to do there up in Denver?
Yeah, they're going for it, and you've got to really respect it. They got a quarterback that's a first-ballot Hall of Famer, obviously. So I like what they're doing. DeMarcus Ware coming back with a healthy Von Miller. There's a lot they could do there in terms of pressure packages. Those guys are both very athletic. They can drop in coverage. Keep to leave is you're adding a guy like Walker a year ago where you're strengthening yourself and weakening a competitor. Pretty similar to the way Jenkins helps the Eagles and hurts the Saints. So I really like what Denver's done, and I don't see any reason why they won't be in the mix to win the title next year.
And one of the other big splashes they made over the weekend was bringing in Emmanuel Sanders. And I was reading about this signing online, and he originally agreed to a deal verbally with the Chiefs, and then he ended up signing and getting more money with the Broncos. And a lot of executives anonymously aren't happy with the way that his agent handled this. Is there anything the league could do to prevent situations like this? Have you ever had a player verbally agree with you, and then the next thing you know, they're signing somewhere else?
It happens. In that situation where apparently, Kansas City then were close to a deal, and his agent decided for whatever reason to keep talking to other teams, which, until something's signed, it's just an agreement in principle. So unfortunately those things happen in free agency, and you live and learn, and, typically people don't have, short memories in our business.
We're talking to Mike Tannenbaum, who joins us on the hotline right now, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. Mike now works with Priority Sports. And, Mike, this Broncos-Patriot rivalry has been fascinating to watch, especially in this free agency. One team does something, and the other team answers back with another big move. You saw that over the weekend with LaFell and Sanders. You also saw it with Revis and Talib. Revis, a former player of yours. You know how tough it is to work out contract extensions with him. The Pats get him on a 2-year deal with that second year for an option of $20 million. Can you see Revis working out long-term in New England?
I don't see why not. He's a great player. I think he'll be even better another year off of, the injury off of the ACL that happened in 2012. So I can see, typically, you try to keep as many of your good players as possible. And obviously he's a great player when healthy. So assuming this year went well, I'm sure both sides will try to figure out something that works.
Mike, I just want to get your thoughts on the upcoming draft as the Combine just passed a couple of weeks ago. If you have one of the top picks, depending on the need that you have for your respective team, obviously, who do you like in those first couple of picks?
I would start with Jadeveon Clowney. He's, in my mind, it's rare for a player of his size and ability to come along. And if you look at those first two team guys, be it Houston or the Rams, and you take a guy with Clowney's ability and you pair him either with a guy like J.J. Watt or, Quinn and Chris Long in St. Louis, that is going to be really, really hard to stop, because now somebody's going to be singled up, and, I think he'll be a dominant player for years.
If you have the #1 pick, the Texans do have a need at quarterback. Clowney has been rumored to possibly go at #1. You also seen the rumors about Johnny Manziel and Blake Bortles, even Teddy Bridgewater. If you're a team that needs a quarterback and you have the first overall pick, out of the 3 quarterbacks I just mentioned, which quarterback would you lean towards?
I'm a height, weight, speed guy from a standpoint that, you want to be built to last. I really like Bortles' build. I think those other two will also be, very good football players in the league. I just, would be concerned if they're going to be built to last, and that's always a concern from a standpoint of, these are big men in our league, and the bigger you are, you look at a guy like Ben Roethlisberger who gets hit so much, but he's really developed his lower body, and he's somebody that's really been built to last. And if you look at him from his waist down, his glutes, his quads, he's a grown man, and you have to be built that way to withstand the rigors of a 16-game season.
A few more with Mike Tannenbaum, former Jets general manager, now working with Priority Sports. And when you were with the Jets, you had a young quarterback by the name of Mark Sanchez that you guys were trying to develop, and things didn't turn out all right, although you guys did get to 2 AFC championship games. But now the Jets are moving on with Sanchez and going with Geno Smith for the future. But when you took away some veteran pieces from him, whether it was an Alan Faneca or Thomas Jones signed elsewhere, it kind of looked like Sanchez was affected by that. And you see a situation here in Philadelphia where the Eagles go out there and they bring back a Kelsey, a Peters, bring back Foles' favorite target, and Riley Cooper. How important is it, though, when you're developing a young quarterback in his first or second year, that you bring back those pieces that he's comfortable with?
I think it's a great point. Those are countless reps that you want to have with people. So from the OTAs, the mini camps, you can't get enough of those. And with the way the CBA is now, oftentimes those things are going to happen. Outside the building where, let's say, Nick Foles is working out, I'm sure he's speaking to Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin, Riley Cooper. Hey, guys, let's go spend 3 weeks, in this city together and just, having meals together and lifting weights together. That's an important part of the process that sometimes gets lost.
Mike Vick has had an up-and-down career in the NFL, to say the least. What do you believe his market value is? Because obviously he's got the talent. He's been able to put together a stretch of games, but he's played a full season only once. Do you believe that he can start in the NFL for a team next season, or do you believe Vick is better suited as a backup moving forward?
Well, I think he'll get another opportunity. There's not 32 starting quarterbacks on the planet, and he's played at a high level. Durability, injuries, turnovers are the questions he's going to have to answer. But he's not that old, and I think he'll get another chance. And when he does, I think he'll make the most of it. So where he signs and how much that remains to be seen. But I'm sure it'll be a contract that'll have a lot of upside depending how well he plays.
Before we let you run, Irsay had a DUI and he was arrested this morning, and we saw some of the photos come out from that. And hey, here's my situation with DUI. You should never get behind the wheel when you have any substance in your system, and especially with what the NFL does, they give you a car service at Anonymous, and the owner should be setting the example for his players. Can you see the NFL going out there and disciplining Jim Irsay? Because they can't be happy today. This is totally unacceptable when I look at it from an owner's standpoint.
Yeah, it's obviously a tragic situation, and we got to keep on these early allegations. So, you got to have to refrain from judging things so soon. But all employees, including owners, are subject to discipline under the personal conduct policy. So, if and when things happen where he would plead to something, I would expect discipline. That's kind of been a hallmark of the current commissioner, who holds everybody associated with the game to a very high standard. And obviously, if there's a problem, you hope Mr. Irsay can get treatment and get back to buzz and running obviously a very successful NFL dash.
Well, Mike, we appreciate a few minutes today. It was great to hear your voice, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Okay, guys, take care. Thanks.
Mike Tannenbaum right there, former Jets general manager, now working with Priority Sports. We'll take a quick break, and when we get back, Fran Dunphy will join us to talk some NCAA tournament.